get back to a little bit of my roots, and so I've decided to do a little bit of freehand here. One of the guys at the local gaming club asked me about 40k on a budget, and so I said to him, you know what, I've got an idea for you. Why don't we do this? So I showed him some armies that were for sale on eBay, and he'd decided to pick up, was it the Sisters of Battle or was it the Demon Hunters? Anyway, it's one of the Adaptus Stratas, I think. I think it was the Demon Hunters army he picked up, the Grey Knights. And, no, yeah, it was one guy picked up Grey Knights, and the other one he ordered a Imperial Guard, little tank battalion thing. You get the Guardsmen, the heavy weapons group, and everything. I don't think there's a tank in it yet. But he looked at some of my tanks, and as you guys know, I'm a big fan of 21st century toys, and unfortunately they went belly up, but they've been purchased by a different company, and it is rumoured that the molds are now being used to make new toys. Unfortunately, from what I've heard from this new company, they haven't decided to put out a release date yet for any of the new toys. So that's kind of like a bummer. But I wanted to show you guys a little bit of modeling on a budget, so to say. This is going to be the before video. Then I'm going to do an after. So the before is, we have a plastic container. Okay, this one has, it's for kitty litter. 21st century toys, the tanks, and a whole heap box of sprue. That's if this thing will focus. Anyway, a whole heap ton of sprue. Focus. There we go. A whole heap ton of sprue. And what I'm actually going to do is, in World War II, Germans put side skirt armor on their tanks, and as you can tell, that is a Panzer III, and that is a Panzer 38 NA. The Panzer 38 NA are basically the perfect scale for Chimeras, and I'm using the Panzer IIIs as my Lehman Russes, at least until I can get my hands on some Shermans and Cromwells, because the Cromwells I'm going to use as my Hellhounds and some as Chimeras, and turn the Shermans into my Lehman Russes. But I'm going to show you how to do some modelling on a budget, which is how to make the side skirts and stuff for basically models that you just want to use to improve the look of a basic tank and make it actually a centerpiece of an army, so to say. Also, the next modeling on a budget I'm going to show you guys is how to make snow camouflage really cheap, and I mean like pennies, instead of paying what Wooden Scenic and a few others want. And so I'm going to leave this video here, and then the next video you're going to see is some side plating on this. This is going to be our core project. I'm going to finish off what I've got to do on this one, and another tank project I'm doing is for my Dark Angels, which is this great big monstrosity, which is actually a true to scale Panther tank. So Panzer III, Panther, but I'm turning this into a Land Raider Demolisher for my Dark Angels army. So I'm going to put the front dozer blade on it, and put some turreted twin-linked heavy bolter up here, and probably look at scratch building me some side sponsons for the twin, I think it is twin-linked, no, is it flamers or anyway, it's one of those. And that's what I got, excuse me, that's what I got planned for this. So this is part one, and I've got hiccups for some reason now. And the next video you're going to see the side skirts on this and the framework being built for this, and that's what the video will be focusing on, is the framework for the Hellhound. Okay guys? Hey fellas, part 2 of modelling on a budget is what I'm going to name in this. This is part 2. Pretty much where we left off. Let me flip this over. Okay, from where we left off. Let me turn that down. We have our potential Chimera Hellhound. Took the tracks off, as you can see. Big old box of sprue. If you're a gamer, you have sprues. And so I've cut the side tracks off. This is what these are. Using a file, I managed to file it down some, and I have decided, you know, I'm going to be gluing it onto the side of the tank, like so, and then that will give me something to bolt the side skirts on. And the side skirts is the next part of what I'm going to be doing. And I've decided to use the tripod for this one. Voila. Okay, so what I'm going to do, grab our container, grab a Sharpie,
it's the camo, I think, Jesus.
grab a ruler, and grab one of the side skirts. The first thing we do is
they've seen the whole
I'm going to draw down the center. I'm watching a live stream of a friend of mine. He's live streaming his world of tanks.
I got beaten as scarred
and that would be the dogs. Take your lacto. Be very careful because you don't want to skewer yourself. And
on the move. That was nice.
make our base cut.
I think the kid was actually running away.
Like so. And we're going to cut this whole top off, basically.
I'm so going to screw this.
Scissors.
Oh, I didn't get him.
Show the brother's nose. It's just two Hellcats and top comes rolling around the table and you run.
And they were hitting us the whole freaking time, but I had like 640 health. So you were still full health and you came around the corner. Like, oh shit.
I'm in football. You find out.
Yeah, and the other small instrument is
You've got to be careful because areas where there'll be mould lines, and unfortunately that's where the skizzers don't cut.
Tell me, I'm not going to say it, but Jesus. See what's here too.
Oh. I've got this one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I need to actually.
That's a good time too.
And there went a blade. The blade actually snapped, so this is one tough cookie. Yeah, be very careful, guys. And normally I'd have a fold-out knife, but I can't seem to find
I
it.
expect our T50 to do much damage. Well, despite the fact we're using a T50. It's using it for the same as it all can.
Legend T50? Is it good?
That would be the roommate.
Well, the guy who's recruiting says it's Legend T50.
Well, we're getting there. Just got this little corner left to do.
T50's turn around and T50 dash T50. Yeah, and you bash up and that's in gun
Those
Save the lid because you can always use the lid for something. Now you've got this. Basically, looks like a trash can. This is where the fun part comes in. These corners here, you can cut them to the desired length, which I am going to do. If I can find that damn model.
Guys, why are you carrying on to the town? Turn around.
Grow tracks and drive. There it is.
Go from regions.
It didn't grow tracks and drive completely away. It just
Oh, nobody's on the other side of the map.
grew tracks and drove somewhat away.
And one TV.
And what we need to do is
come over there and start
take our ruler, measure, I believe it's 4 and 2 inches.
Oh,
Conquer the 70.
4 and a bit. So, what we do,
Tram them. Good work.
yeah, you spun it down to the middle, I think.
we mark it, which is what we just
I
did.
think you're spun it on this one.
6 cents in this one.
Sorry about the awkward silence here.
Oh snap, I think that's fine. Shit.
Do like 50 million things at the same time. And so we can cut this corner. See, this plastic's really thin.
Did you compare the Tinkerer right now after the first of the tier 9? How do you like it?
Sorry, what?
If you compare the tank you're driving right now to the tier 9, how do you like it? Because it's such a different
I don't like this at all.
Really?
Because it's got the same 105,
See?
but it shoots like...
Quite thin.
I mean, this is 7.76 seconds, and that's 6.7.
And
But
you
then
can
all
heat
I've
it,
got is the
actually.
AP rounds.
so it bends quite easy. But the corner's already pre-bent. So I'm going to cut that corner,
It's just...
take some sprue, like this, clean it up, and we'll see you in part 3. Okay guys?
Neglecting to deal with.
Hey guys, welcome back to part 3. Got it cut, got the first dozer blade built, got some side paneling armor cut out for the Hellhound, but I'm mostly focusing right this second on a squeaky chair. And 1 second. Haven't been feeling too good. Very cotton mouth. But focusing on doing, as you can tell with the sprue, focusing on the dozer arms. Let me turn it sideways so you can see. On the dozer arms, as you can see. Just gonna let this glue dry. Hopefully it will dry really nice. And then you can get a rough idea of where I'm going with it. See? I can proxy it as either a demolisher or as a Land Raider demolisher, the one that's in the Dark Angels Codex. It's still not built, this is just where this is going to be sitting at for now. So I'm going to put this on the, over there onto the side for a moment. Now, what I'm going to be more focusing on is my runaway tank. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to be focusing on the Chimera. And actually, it's more of a, it's actually a Hellhound, but it's on the on this tank. So I'm going to be gluing are runway, not hot glue. I'm not always a hot glue fanatic. Just using regular poly cement, polycell. Yeah. No crazy glue, no hot glue, no kicker glue. Just regular old poly cement. In fact, I recently found an old mold kit that was in the basement. Forgot to even put it down there. I opened that sucker up and there was a tube of poly cement glue in there. And I looked at the date on the kit. The kit was made in the 70s. I was like, holy cow. And poly cement was actually still good. I was like, holy cow. In fact, I've got the tube somewhere. I think it's over there on my electronics bench. But yeah, the poly cement was actually still good. The glue was still tacky and there's no issues. And I was like, wow. Because I know that some poly cements, depends on the manufacturer, I know that some poly cements actually go bad real quick. Once you open them up, you got like a month tops work time with the glue itself before it starts to go real bad, real quick. And this poly cement takes about 2 hours to skin. Well, it takes 10 minutes to become tacky dry, where it's, you know, the parts are holding, but they won't hold any weight or anything, you know. After about 2 or 3 hours they can hold a little bit of weight, but after 12 to 24, learn to speak then, they're fully done. And so that's our side rails. Okay, so side rails done. Flamethrower turret back on, so you can get a rough idea of what I'm doing with it. And yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it for now, guys. I'm also going to be cutting the side skirt armor for this one, and fingers crossed, next video you'll see actual side skirted armor attached, but not painted. The painting part comes way later. Actually attached onto this one, on the Hellhound, and the dozer blade will actually be attached to the Land Raider. And I'll see you guys in part 4. To the fans. Welcome back. I think this is part 3, 4, 5, whatever. Welcome back. So right now, got the dozer blade built on to the front, as you can see, via our little sprue system. Still going to build like the commander's hatch and a weapons turret and whatnot for it, and decided to go with the side sprues, but they're going to be coming off the top. It's going to come down and basically look like they're free hanging. And I'm about to glue the side strips onto the side of our Hellhound, and hey, it's going to be a pain in the bum. I just wanted to get it on film so that you guys didn't think I was jipping you or anything, you know. And it's going to take about 10-15 minutes because the plate is very heavy. As you can see, it's starting to droop. So what I'm going to do is grab some sprue cut that I have. If I can get the sprue cut off, which I can't, typical. And I can't find my clippers. I think 4 seconds ago I just had the bloody things, now they disappeared on me. Typical. Okay. Then we take our sprue and just make like a pry bar, you know, like so. And then what that does is it stops the armor plating as the glue is drying from sinking. So the armor plate actually hangs properly. Problem is, if you torque it too much, you can snap the glue joints. It's kind of 50-50 thing right here. And I've decided to paint them after they're on the model. And the problem is now I've got to wait about an hour so I can do the other side. So all that's going to sit there and dry. I'm going to catch up with some of my TV shows I've been missing, Breaking Bad, Glee and whatnot. I wanted to show you how to do homemade snow. As you can see, this is a Caldor War Machine. I've started to get into War Machine now, so I'll be doing some terrain pieces and that in a rundown of my current Caldor army and where I'm going to go and whatnot. I am going to get a couple of Caldor Colossi, the big Colossuses. I'm going to get a few of them when my finances are a bit more heading my way, so to say. And I'll be magnetizing everything on it. So no painting, just pure magnets, rare earth magnets. So it'll just, you know, it'll stick together just nicely. I did cut off another piece of side paneling. Ah, here it is. And this piece of side paneling is going to be the armor plating for this. It's going to be cut to shape on this, and I figured just giving you guys a heads up. So the next video, you'll probably see the next part of the video, you'll see all the tanks with their side skirt armor on, and then we will be able to move on. Now as for the snow camera, I'm going to be basing some of my Imperial Guard miniatures with this snow. So what I'm going to be doing is ending the video in a few seconds. Then the next video will be me doing the mix ratio for the paint, the glue, and a few other things. And then I'll be applying it to the miniatures, the bases, things like that. And we can go from there. So as always do, guys, deuces. Okay guys, we're going to do some snow camo, and I'm going to be using my Imperial Scout vehicle, this Scratch Bit Wheezy vehicle, as the basis as to what we're doing. Now, what you are going to need, pretty much it's very simple. What you're going to need, hopefully fingers crossed I can pick up the one thing I dropped, is brushes, really doesn't matter what ones, a palette for mixing your stuff on. The items in question that I needed to be mixed is as follows. Now, you can make it textured snow. Basically what that is, it's kind of like a cross between slush snow and hard impact ice. And you can use sand. This is some very coarse sand I got out of the desert. I live out in Utah, so there's plenty of sand out in the desert. But where I'm going to be doing just regular fresh powdered snow, you're going to need one simple thing that most people often seem to overlook: chalk. Just simple white sidewalk chalk. That's all it is. It's just chalk. Chalk, and the magic ingredient baking soda. That's the catalyst that makes the snow fluffy. Basically, that's what fluffs up the snow. The chalk is what gives it its freshly powdered look. You're going to need some PVA glue. Unfortunately, I have a fresh one, but I can't seem to find it right this second. Some tap water, if you want to water it down to make it last a little bit more, and a mixture of paint, white paints, because baking soda will start to turn yellow after a while. So you can either go with vintage white or antique white. I personally like to go with a bit of mix of both. I mix two up. The fresher snow being on the top, which is the brightest. The darker snow being on the floor, which is the snow that's recently fallen over a few hours, days, etc., etc. And what we're going to do, first things first, is we are going to take our mixing palette, which is this. Now what I tend to do is a bit of rubbing alcohol. I tend to just splash it in like so. And this is the 70%. And what I tend to do is take a towel and just clean it. Simply put, because you don't want particulates in your snow. This goes for your brushes as well. You want to make sure that your brush is clean. If your brush isn't clean, you're going to see particulates in the snow and it's going to look weird. Unfortunately, if you're not like my friend Dylan, who forgot he was painting and he used a brush that had yellow paint in it, it looked like there was a trail of yellow snow. And I thought to myself, well, Imperial Guardsmen do have to use the restroom. So do Space Marines. I mean, in theory, if you think about it. Funny as it was, but it didn't go over well after he realised. So what we're going to do is take a little bit of the chalk. Okay. So all it is just sidewalk chalk. Regular chalk. See? Just chalk. Don't need much, just a little bit. Because I'm only going to use this as a how-to. And that much baking soda, literally just 1 to 1. Now, like I said, if you wanted to make it textured snow, you could use some sand. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use it as regular fluffy snow, of course. And then you're going to need 2 other key simple ingredients. You're going to need PVA glue, which is this. And that's if I can get there, because this is a very old bottle. Come on. It's like getting ketchup out. There we go. Great big dollop. Like so. Your paint. I'm using just simple Deco Art apple barrel stuff and water, like so. Then you want to take a mixing stick, something like that. I'm just going to use the arse end of the brush, and you want to mix it. No real pattern to a consistency or anything. You're not trying to make airbrush paints or anything. You're just trying to whip it up, you know? You want the bubbles. The bubbles is what makes the snow powdery. So, and now I'm not suggesting you put it in a blender. Okay, it looks like it's been nicely done. And you got to wait a few minutes. Well, actually, you just got to wait a couple of seconds. So I'm probably gonna pause it here. Maybe not. You starting to fluff up yet? No, not yet. Maybe just a little bit more. A little bit more baking soda. Remember back, there it goes, now it's starting to fluff. Just need a little bit more baking soda. Now, you can see it really starting to fluff up. That's what you want. That's your fresh snow sort of thing. Yeah, just need a little bit more baking soda. Now this stuff will harden, when it does it hardens like a somewhat similar to light concrete. It does harden the really hard substance. So now we take our model, okay, this walker, and so we're just gonna take a little bit, and you can just work it. That's all you need to do. What I tend to do is put a little bit around the feet first, kind of like basing a miniature, because in theory this is exactly what you're doing, is you're basing a miniature. Now there are other tutorials out there you can see on Daka and other websites that will show you how to make icicles and other snow-based terrain. All I'm doing is just doing fresh impacted snow right this second. This is also really cool for doing like a wrecked tank, because wrecked tanks, even in the real world, pick up snow and dirt and rust and debris really easy, really quick. Snow always tends to stick to cold metal really quickly, so an old rusted out tank or an old wrecked vehicle, even old cars, if you go to a junkyard and take a look at some of their old vehicles after snow has hit, the first top layer on the metal is impacted snow, it's basically ice, and that stuff is what mechanics hate, because that's the stuff that gets you stuck to the metal, you know, the whole frost on the thing, and you get the kid that sticks his tongue to it, and before you bloody know it, you know, he's having to call the ambulance to get his tongue, you know, unstuck. It's like what's in Dumb and Dumber. See, but as you can see, as it's starting to dry off, it's starting to look more and more like snow, which is what we want. This is my technique. It's not the right way or the wrong way. Truthfully, there is no way. This is just the first layer. I do 2, 3, sometimes even 4 or 5 layers on big, somewhat centerpieces like this. This is somewhat of a centerpiece from my Imperial Guard army. I'm still waiting on some more of these kits to become available. The model kit itself is originally from a 1970s, no, tell a lie, 1990s re-release. And I know this one I got really cheap because it was broken. It was missing some of the gun parts and stuff, and so I got it really cheap on eBay. But I know you can get actual complete Walker kits, and so I'm going to be using these as my Imperial Guard Sentinels. Not that little flimsy tiny thing that just reminds me of a cheap man's binary lifter loader from Star Wars. Yeah, so I want my walkers to be walkers, you know. So all we're doing is just layering this. Now this will take about an hour to an hour and a half to fully dry and be ready for another layer. So it's not like something you can just do, you know, wait 5 minutes then go at it again. This is something that's going to take a couple of hours, but it's worth it, especially for like a centerpiece. like this. Now the reason why I'm not done a complete true even colour is because snow isn't completely even. Even snow on a football field, on a soccer field, it will have wavy patterns in it from where the wind has been blowing across it. And so that's what I'm trying to somewhat simulate by putting stiples in it. And she's already starting to foam up. I think it's that baking soda was just a little bit too much. But you can always, just come up with your own ratios to make your own snow. And I'm not doing this to spite anyone or anything. It's just I like Arctic combat and stuff like that, and the thought of it, and didn't help I spent some time in Alaska either. But I'm a snowy man, I like the snow, hence that's why I live in Utah. And this is all you gotta do, is just, staple it here and there. Once it starts to skin over, you've got about an hour before you can try to apply another layer. And even when you do that, it has to be a really thin layer. But that's all it is. It's just baking soda, some white paint, PVA glue. The PVA glue is what holds it to the base. And the water is what activates the baking soda. And the paint stops the baking soda from yellowing out. And that's pretty much it. You can do this, you can put some on the feet, the legs, things like that. But that's the chalk. What the chalk does is, it once this dries out, the chalk becomes that sort of, it looks like snowflakes have just landed on the snow sort of look. And it will get quite messy. So always make sure you've got paper towels, paper towels, scrap newspaper, fish rag, whatever you want to call it. And this is where I get a bit anal. Sorry guys if I'm not talking so much, but I just wanted to show you this is how it starts to get done. And this is how I do my snow. It's kind of like icing. It looks very similar to icing. Is the texture look you're going for. And then once this dries and I apply the second layer and it's dry, I'll start putting rocks and things on that you can make with clear casting resin. You can throw like a bolt gun in the resin, and when it dries you can see the bolt gun in the ice, so it looks like a space marine, fell. No one wanted his gun, or the gun jammed and the space marine threw it to the ground so he could grab something else. It's just a simple, tiny snow technique. That's all it is. This is good for dioramas as well. I know Big G, or Bad Gringles is what he's known as. I know when Big G did his Godzilla diorama, and he had Mount Fuji in the background and that, it would have looked really cool if there was some snow, on the ground. Just my personal preference, But this is all I'm doing, is just getting it to where I want it. That's all I'm doing. And you've got to find a place where this will dry nicely, with no cats or dogs, or because if a hair gets in this, the hair's going to stay in it until you can get to where it's stuck at, and then try and pull it out. But you run the risk of actually pulling up the snow clump that's attached to it. Now I'm leaving certain dark spots in because that's where more terrain parts are going to go on the base and things like that. And there's also going to be other things like so I got some bricks, you know, some brick walls, things like that. I'm gonna make it look like that this scout walker has plowed through a building, so there's gonna be some rubble and stuff at his feet. They'll get a snow paint job and that as well. But you're starting to actually see it as it's hardening now, so sorry for the length of the video, guys. I know I usually try to cut my video lengths down, but my ISP actually got off their bum and did me a solid and got me some decent upload, so I can start doing some longer videos now. And also at the same time, YouTube did me a big solid. Now you don't have to do this next part. I'm doing it just because, well, I'm pretty anal about it. But yeah, because this is only the first layer, you'll get to see a rough idea of what's actually going to happen. Now, if you look at the edge where it's starting to peel a little bit, that's what the next layer is going to look like. It's going to clump. Sorry, it's going to clump here and there, and that's what we want. And once this is actually dry to the touch, I'm going to go over it with some chalk. I'm going to put some of the chalk on the running legs, the gears, things like that, so it looks like it's actually kicked snow up. Probably put some snow on the... Sorry about that. Probably put some snow actually up here. You can also, at this point, if you wanted to, take like a wheel from a Space Marine bike or something and just run it through in the actual snow. Leave it for a few minutes and run it through again, and keep doing it until the plastic wheel itself starts picking up the fake snow. Then you know it's at that point where it will start to take imprints like boot prints, tire tracks, things like that. And so I'm going to leave it right here, and in part 2 we'll see this dry, the next set ready to go down, and some of the terrain pieces to go on top. So see you in part 2, guys. Hey guys, welcome back. The snow has literally, you know, it's still skinny, you know, wet in certain areas, so I'm trying not to touch it with my fingers, but around the edges it's bone dry, as you can see, you know. And what I'm doing now is I'm taking some chalk, just straight chalk, that's all it is, and I'm just literally all I'm doing is just brushing it on. Now I gotta be careful because I have a small little personal fan. Can probably eat the puppy. And all I'm doing is just giving this walker a true frosted, well, frozen-ish sort of look. Now bear in mind, I'm still going to do another layer of snow and some of the terrain pieces that I have. I've only just grey based them, they're not even finished yet. I'm going to dry brush them and things like that, and they're going to sit on the base. You know, very similar to like this. So it looks like it's actually stomping through what was a building, and you know, I'll be able to actually do it on this a lot easier for you. And if you actually look very carefully, then with a clear varnish, or you can do it with a rubbing alcohol, it gets like this impacted snow look, and just gives your buildings, you know, your centerpieces, that one little extra thing. It's gonna make it stand out, and that's what I'm trying to go for, is just that. You can hear the dogs in the living room. Sorry about that, guys. And so that's what I'm going for, and I just dropped the terrain pieces because they're not glued down. Don't move, Dan. But you get the idea of what I'm doing, and most people tend to just ignore the simplest little things, like, you know, thinking, okay, this is a huge, great big hulking machine that walks, you know, and legs when you walk, I don't know about you, but when I walk through snow travels all the way up my legs, you know, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do. This camera will focus. You can just make out some of the snow on the shin guards, on the feet, you know, and then a little bit up on the frontal, on the frontal hips here is what I'm going to be doing as well. I'm going to be hand painting my family crest right here on the frontal armor plate. A little bit more touch-ups here and there, and it's going to get a spray base. And the next update I'll be doing is me applying the second layer of snow, and finishing off the base painting of the terrain, gluing the terrain down, and taking it from there, guys. Okay? See you in part 3.